Mr. Snake Ganning was neither a great criminal nor a pleasant character, but he is interesting because he was the first victim of the organization led by the man known as the Saint, which was destined, in the course of a few months, to spread terror through the underworld of London, that ruthless association of reckless young men, brilliantly led, who worked on the side of the law and who were yet outside the law. There was to come a time when the mere mention of the Saint was sufficient to fill the most unimaginative malefactor with uneasy fears. When a man returning home late one night to find the sign of the Saint, a childish sketch of a little man with straight-line body and limbs, and an absurd halo over his round blank head, chalked upon his door, would be sent instinctively spinning round with his back to the nearest wall, and his hand flying to his hip pocket, and an icy tingle of dread prickling up his spine. But at the date of the Ganning episode, the Saint had only just commenced operations, and his name had not yet come to be surrounded with the aura of almost supernatural infallibility which it was to earn for itself later. Mr. Ganning was a tall, incredibly thin man, with sallow features and black hair that was invariably oiled and brushed to a shiny sleekness. His head was small and round, and he carried it thrust forward to the full stretch of his long neck. Taking into the combination of physical characteristics, the sinuous carriage of his body, the glittering beadiness of his expressionless black eyes, and the silent litheness with which he moved, it was easy to appreciate the aptness of his nickname. He was the leader of a particularly tough racecourse gang, generally known as the Snake's Boys, which subsisted, in unmerited luxury, on the proceeds of blackmailing bookmakers under threat of doing them grievous bodily harm. There were also a number of other unsavoury things about him, which may be revealed in due course. The actual motive for the interference of the Saint in the affairs of the Snake and his boys was their treatment of Tommy Mitre on the occasion of his first venture into turf finance. Tommy had always wanted to be a jockey, for horses were in his blood. But quite early in his apprenticeship he had been thrown and injured so severely that he had never been able to ride again, and he had had to content himself with the humble position of stable boy in a big training establishment. Then an uncle of Tommy's, who had been a publican, died, leaving his nephew the tremendous fortune of £200, and Tommy decided to try his luck in the Silver Ring. He took out a licence, had a board painted, Tommy Mitre, the old firm, established 1822, and enlisted a clerk. One day he went down to Brighton with this paraphernalia and the remains of his £200, and it was not long before the Snake's Boys spotted the stranger and made the usual demands. Tommy refused to pay. He ought to have known better, for the methods of the Snake had never been a secret in racing circles. But Tommy was like that.